The warmth and harmonious atmosphere are again evident on the set of the latest drama that brings Wang and Bai Lu together in the lead roles. As a fan who happened to get a rare opportunity to watch the filming process up close, the source shared such a strong impression of how the closeness of the two really radiated a sweet energy that made all fans feel excited all day long. Without the need for dialogue or flashy interactions, the atmosphere they create is enough to make it clear how aligned the energy is between them. The filming location that day was in an open area surrounded by trees and production equipment. The crew seems to be busy with scene preparation, from checking the lighting, arranging the property, to making sure the cameras are ready to run whenever needed. Fans who already have special permits are placed in certain areas to be able to watch the filming process without interfering with the activities of the actors. It was from that point that the source began to observe the dynamics between Dylan and Bai Lu. Bai Lu arrived at the scene early with an elegant look in the drama costume she was wearing. Her hair was neatly styled by a stylist, perfectly displaying the character she played. He walks with light steps and a cheerful aura that has become his trademark. Not long after, Dylan arrived with a calmer but still charismatic presence. The costumes he wore emphasized the strong character he was playing in the play. Their presence on the set attracted the attention of the fans present. Sources described that from the first second the two were in the same area, the atmosphere immediately changed to become warmer. There was no physical contact, no special interaction, but the energy between them felt so fused. The full of vitality Bai Lu and the calm Dylan create a visual harmony that is pleasant to look at. As the crew started calling the actors for scene preparation, Dylan stood not far from Bai Lu. Despite not communicating directly, their movements seemed to be in harmony. Bai Lu adjusted the position of her hair, and Dylan stood on the other side, as if guarding a safe space for his companion. Sources mention that there is a protective aura emanating from Dylan's attitude, although it is very subtle and unobtrusive in nature. The fans who attended were aware of it, as seen from the small reactions and admiring glances that kept appearing. When the first scene begins, their chemistry is obvious. Even in simple scenes that do not require them to touch or exchange intense gazes, the presence of both in one frame makes the atmosphere feel alive. The source described how Dylan was seen several times following Bai Lu's natural rhythm. He adapts to the position and attitude of his co-stars without the need for additional direction, showing how accustomed they are to working together. Scene after scene walked by, and every time the camera stopped to retake some parts, Dylan and Bai Lu still maintained a comfortable distance that made the fans even more excited to see him. No verbal interaction is heard, but the two look like two people who understand very well how to behave in harmony without the need for a lot of communication. Bai Lu, with her soft expression, occasionally paid attention to the details of the costume, while Dylan occasionally checked the condition of the surrounding set, but always within the same radius. When the time comes to rest, the atmosphere that creates a sense of excitement again appears. Bai Lu walked towards the property desk to inspect her hair, which had been slightly exposed to the wind. Dylan did not follow from behind, but the interviewees noticed how he was slowly shifting into an area that allowed him to stay within visual distance of his co-star. This kind of small gesture that made the fans even more difficult to hold back a smile. There is a natural form of attention that comes from Dylan, even though he doesn't show it explicitly. Bai Lu, who always appeared cheerful, was so easy to transmit her energy to everyone on set. When he sat down for a moment to rest, the aura he carried was warm to the crew and his comrades. Dylan stood a little further away, but his position still made the two appear to be in a harmonious frame despite not being at work. The source described that without a word, the atmosphere created by the two was enough to make the hearts of the fans melt. As the break ended and filming resumed, the synchronous energy between them seemed to become clearer. Bai Lu managed to position the skirt of her costume, while Dylan seemed to adjust his body position automatically so that his height did not interfere with blocking the camera. A small gesture like this showed how much Dylan understood Bai Lu's work rhythm. The two seem to work with a comfort that can only be created from two actors who have natural chemistry. The interviewee highlighted one moment that felt very sweet, although simple. While the crew fixed a slightly problematic part of the set, the actors were asked to wait a while. Bai Lu stood with the body position made comfortable while holding a small property in his hands. Dylan stood behind him, close enough to make the fans smile. but professional enough not to be considered overboard. Dylan's presence seemed to give the impression that he was still paying attention to his co-star without wanting to look too prominent. When they returned to the set, they walked in almost the same rhythm. Bai Lu stepped lightly, and Dylan followed her a few steps behind. The source described the scene as a very natural-looking moment, like two people who are used to being in the same space and rhythm. Fans who watched live were seen poking each other several times, feeling exasperated by the warm scenery. The warm atmosphere continued to carry over until near the end of filming. When the cameras stopped turning for the last time that day, the crew began to pack. However, Dylan and Bai Lu were still in the same area to make sure all of their equipment was well taken care of. Bai Lu was seen arranging some of her personal belongings neatly, while Dylan remained within a close radius as if waiting for everything to be finished. There was no conversation going on, but the position of their bodies and the way they moved made that closeness feel so obvious. The fans who were on location also began to prepare to leave the filming area. The source admitted that the last moment before the two left the area was the one that stuck most in the memory. Bai Lu walked first towards the rest area, and Dylan followed shortly after, keeping his distance but still in a harmonious rhythm. This scene left a very strong impression on the spectators present that day. As fans who witnessed firsthand, sources confirmed that the closeness of the two is not a made-up thing for the camera. The natural energy emanating from them is sincere and easily perceived even in the absence of verbal or physical interaction. The harmony they create is proof that chemistry and comfort can be seen only from the way a person stands, walks, or simply is in the same space. That day was a memorable experience for the fans who attended. The closeness on set between Dylan Wang and Bai Lu really made many people's hearts melt. Without words, without exaggerated actions, with only movement and energy and harmony, both managed to create a sweet atmosphere that is difficult to forget. If this dynamic continues, it is not surprising that the two will increasingly become the public's favorite couple both in front of the cameras and behind the scenes.